This is Progress Culture.
Progress Culture is a weekly happening where master drummer Paul F. Murphy and I share live improvised music and impromptu conversations with people from various fields and expertises about community, value, art, science, freedom, and progress for all. We are excited to share it all with you, so have a listen and see what's going on this week on Progress Culture. Now, let's get into the show. But first, let's hear some music.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Progress Culture. Paul Murphy and Dominic Fragman here from Sonic Spirits, and we are excited today to have all the young people in the house.
Yes.
We have Tabitha Dunn, who is with Southern Maryland Loves You. We have George, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, George. Rivers? Yep. George Rivers is here with us. He's an intern with Jordan R&D, and we have Alex Walker and from TechPort. And today, well, we were having a conversation. It was me, Tabitha, and Matt, who is actually hanging out off screen, is going to be ready to chime in here from the voice from beyond at any time. And we were having a conversation that seems to be a regular topic about why young people, or really anybody, really, people that move to Maryland for work and leave, or move to Southern Maryland for work and don't feel at home and don't feel like there's something here for them that they enjoy, people that they can meet, things that are outside of their professional situation. And this is an issue in Southern Maryland where people that move here for work often leave because of these things. And then also the same with young people that are from Southern Maryland apparently have a tendency to leave when they can because they don't find things in the area, so they say, that make them excited or keep them engaged and have them meeting people and forming the community or their community in a way that they think fits with who they are. And I guess you were part of that original conversation, which actually happens often anyways, but I guess I was wondering, and it doesn't have to be in any particular order, whoever feels moved to speak about, do you have any feelings about that? Southern Maryland here, does it feel like a place that you want to be, that you want to stay, that you would tell people about to come here because this is here and it's good, or do you feel opposite of that? Like,
I mean, I can bring up some of the things that we had in that original conversation that may spark some thoughts amongst the crowd here. And that was that Southern Maryland is not a place that I go to my friends and I'm like, hey guys, like, let's go have a fun weekend down in Southern Maryland. Like, there's so many things to do, because there's not.
Yeah.
There's not really anything to do. I mean, we have a movie theater now, which was excitement when that occurred, because there was no movie theater before. But you know what? There's movie theaters everywhere you go. That shouldn't be special.
Yeah.
But it was, because we had nothing. And we don't really have any like shopping. We don't have like any tourist attractions. There's nothing about Southern Maryland that I go, this is a place that's known for, and we can go do this. You can't do it anywhere else. We do this better. Like,
So when you spoke about the shopping, do you mean a more modern shopping?
I just mean like there's no malls. There's no like, oh, that's a really fun place to go just hang out, look around what they have this week, you know, or
it's like not like a strip mall.
Yeah, there's nowhere to just go. I'm just going to go wander around a store. Like, where are you going to go? Walmart? Like,
that's, I think, yeah, all
which
kids,
I have done, by the way.
all kids, I think, our age were like, you know, it's a fun thing to do. Let's go to Target. And
Yeah,
that's like what our exciting Friday day was.
Exactly.
What were you saying, George? Sorry.
Exactly. No, I'm going to pick off on that. Like, I've actually seen people on aisle 5 at Target. Just like, you know, over there by the toy section, like, you know, my classmates of mine. And I would just say, compared to other places, like I'm from Georgia, I've been to Atlanta, it's just, you know, it's a completely different aesthetic. When Tabitha said that, you know, it's just kind of things that other places already have, so what's going to make this place different? So it's kind of like that situation, though.
is that what goes on? You guys go and hang out at stores, or you actually like meet your friends at Target, or
Yeah.
Like,
That's a Friday night thing to do. Go meet your friends at Target to go hang out.
Yeah.
and do what in Target?
Just wander around,
yeah.
talk, and look at stuff, and
Do people give you a hard time for that?
No, I
No?
think
That's
nobody
not-
really. I think no one bats an eye.
I mean, most of the people that work at Target are like in our age group.
This is true.
Right.
So you have friends that work at Target, and then you go and hang out at Target and hang out with your friends.
Kind
It's all
of.
at Target.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be at Target, you know. Sometimes the dollar store is, you know.
Yeah, actually, the Five Below isn't too
Yeah,
bad
the
a
Five
place.
Below,
Yeah.
you know, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Around here. You know, like, yeah, so, you know, that's what we do in, you know.
But what is the alternative? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, what would you like to see?
Yeah,
I
what would
mean,
you like to do?
Are you talking about something like clubs, nightclubs, or
I mean, I think that is something that I would enjoy, but it's not even just about nightclubs, because there's a big issue with not having anything to do when you're under 21. I mean, you can't go to a nightclub underage, like,
right?
and there's nothing to do just on like a Saturday morning either, you know? Like, you're not going to go to a nightclub on Saturday morning, but you might want to go wander around the mall on a Saturday morning.
Or what about parks?
A park.
You know what? The parks here, we do have like a lot of parks here. I think this place needs like something like a Dave and Buster's, like something for like a little Chuck E. Cheese or something. Because I remember, I used to go up the road for all the attractions in like, DC and stuff. And, I see this place building, we did I was hyped when we had a Panda Express, earlier, a couple, the restaurants coming up, we was excited, we had a Cold Stone, I have to go up the road for Cold Stone. Now, it's just right across the street. But, this place is building, but I would say to stay here, I would feel like I'm confined, like, like just, put in just like a single place.
And I think that builds into what I was saying before, where it's like everybody, you didn't grow up here, but I grew up here. And even coming in, you've hit the same topic where it's just like, it's so ingrained that when you're living here, you just got to go other places to actually go do things that are considered normal attractions to have in like a hometown. Like, you get used to, if I want to go get a Cold Stone ice cream, yeah, you got to drive an hour. Like, it's just what you got to do. You're just not even used to having that.
The part that like shocks me, like, I'll ask you this: when you say like, but both of you live St. Mary's, I think you guys are St. Mary's.
I'm Calvert. I grew up in Calvert.
Well, I live in Charles County. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I didn't know much about California St. Mary's until I got my job here. Mm-hmm. And the fun thing is that I usually go here more to like, because I thought there was more things here than in Waldorf. When you guys, like in your friends, when you say you go up, which would be Waldorf and La Plata, would you rather go there than here to spend time with your friends?
I would certainly choose Waldorf over here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Waldorf is...
Yeah.
That surprises me, because like I would usually go here. I usually go here with my friends. So it's like, I guess it can be any city or really suburb. Like, you're kind of sick of your own suburb sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to getting tired of the same thing over and over again.
But don't you think that would be the same case if there was the store that you were looking for to go into?
It's not just like a single store where I'm like, well, if we just had this one store, then everything would be fine. That's not what I mean.
Is it a thing that you have to be somewhere engaged as a customer in order to feel as if you have something to do?
No, it's not even that. Like, because like when you go hang out at Target, like it's not about like, oh, I need to go buy this thing. It's just that I want to go do something and look at something with friends.
With somebody that,
yeah.
Would it involve things like, say, more theater or more art involvement?
Yeah.
Sort of community-wide?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's why a lot of people do sports here. Like, sports is so heavy here. Mm-hmm. Just activities in general. To, it's so easy to like, say, there's nothing to do, but you gotta like kind of just create your own thing. Like, I just branched to football. That just happened to be my thing. And, I was always trying to keep myself busy here. So, that's what I would try to do.
It's hard, though, for people that aren't into sports, though. Like, if that's your thing, then it works out great. But what if it's not your thing?
That's true, though.
What is your thing?
I mean, I don't know. Like,
I was going to say, I have no idea what my thing is either then.
I like to do a little bit of everything, and I feel like there's not really much other to do. I mean, you can go to a little league sporting game or whatever, and that's fun to do sometimes, but that's not what I want to do every weekend.
So it's like New York is on a larger scale, New York City, where you have all of the theaters, all of the movies, right. You have the sports as well, and you have the parks, and I think what you're asking is that Southern Maryland would concentrate a little more development on things based in art and culture other than, say, farming and the military.
Right. I mean, it's that feeling of having a little something for everybody, and that's just not there.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I would say Southern Maryland is like a place where you stop, you get something to eat, you know, and then you just go on by. You just roll on by. I would say to stay, I would say this is more like a resting spot to get away, to come back to like places like Waldorf and stuff. Like I would say like a place to get away for a second and then just to come back. Well, in my eyes, because you know, just being from Georgia, it's just like a kind of like a bunch of stuff. And when I say stuff, it's not like the things to do. It's just the feeling there is for everybody.
You know? Right. It's inclusive. Yeah.
How do you generate that feeling wherever you are? You know, is it something that is in the place, or is it something that you contribute to, or
you can kind of feel it in the community. Like when you step somewhere, you're gonna get a feeling like if this is for you. And some people step here and say this is for them. You know, you're just gonna naturally have that feeling when you step somewhere. It kind of just depends where you grow up, how you grow up. It's just that feeling when you know you're home. Like,
yeah,
I could say what Georgia's known for is a lot of food. You know, southern food, southern hospitality is very, you know, like people, like neighbors, family, like everybody's family. Everybody knows each other, and it just feels like home. So, that's.
I don't know how you would ever get that feeling that Southern Maryland is home when they breed cultures of you have to leave to go do that. Nobody wants to be here because there's nothing to do here, and we only offer these specific things. We don't offer things for other people that are interested in other things. So it's like, how do you get a feeling that this is for me, this is inclusive, when everybody's just of the same mindset that only these types of people fit here?
Do you think that let's if I just would accept that that's the case, do you think that it was also, would it then be the case, do you feel like you have the ability to create or start or generate the things that you would want to see here, that you would feel like would be another option that would be inclusive, that you could say, you know, now this is on offer because you started it, or whatever? Is that a possibility?
I don't
here?
think to the scale that it would need to happen. I mean, that's not something that one single person can do. That has to come from more than one person. It has to come from the right people, which, you know, it's not easy to do that, and that takes time.
Yeah, because like you said, I feel like more people are in that mindset that, like, if you're not this, this, and this, then why are you here?
And there's a lot of people who have no interest in changing that. They don't see a problem with that. They, you know, they're like, you know, you're obviously not that type of person that belongs here then if you don't fit these boxes, then. And they have no interest in keeping you around.
I would say, like, so let's say about LeBron, he came from Akron, Ohio. Nobody knew about Akron until he got famous, and then he put it on the map. So I would say for like a place like this to really get put on fat, like let's say one of us gets famous, just gets a hold, and then we come back.
I'm voting George.
There you go.
Shout out Southern Maryland, St. Mary's County. And then everybody's like, St. Mary's County, if he came from St. Mary's County, there must be something there that made him like that. So everybody's just gonna go. Then that's how it happens, you know. So kind of like that. So something like that would have to happen if you don't want it to branch out. And then now everybody's in Akron because that's LeBron's hometown. So it's like.
But there's no hometown pride, basically.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. And I tend to agree. I don't talk to many people that are like, oh yeah, I come from Southern Maryland. Like I'm so thrilled with that. And
yeah, I'm from St. Mary's.
Like,
yeah,
you know, like we the best. like nobody says that, right?
I disagree, but I mean, that's not the point of this.
I feel bad because it's like not just Southern Maryland. When people are like, well, where are you from? And you're like, oh, Maryland. They're like, oh, you're from Maryland? Like, what's there? Besides, like, I feel like when anybody asks me, they just say, like, you know, the staples, not Southern Maryland.
Well,
and I don't like that.
They're like, how close are you to D.C. then? That's pretty cool. And,
I'm like,
well, we're not really close.
All, that's not all there's
close.
there.
We're only an hour away from D.C.
Okay, an hour and a half. But we're entirely different
We
from
might be
DC.
entirely different.
The culture here is entirely different than DC. Like,
sure.
Like, I'm not even going to try to piggyback on, like, what DC is known for and what makes DC so cool, because that's not anything to do with what we are down here. And that's okay, but, you know.
People just don't understand it.
Right.
And it's not bad that we're not like DC because it's very different, but people are just like, oh, then they don't want to hear it.
They just don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
I've got a question about
the
boxes.
voice from beyond.
Boxes?
So you were kind of alluding that there's like boxes that people want you to kind of fit into down here, and either you fit into them or you leave. Could you tell us a little bit about those boxes and what they are and why they're not attractive?
I can try.
I think we're both looking at Tabitha to answer this.
Like, you don't have to get too descriptive, but just kind of like, you know, what are the things that you feel you don't really want to do, but, you know, it seems like you're supposed to, or you don't really fit in unless you do those things?
I think the biggest one is, at least in the circles I grew up in, was you have to be an overachiever. Like, if you're not overachieving and, you know, pitching way above your league, then you're not doing anything with your life. And if you don't have an interest in doing that, especially like in like STEM fields around here, very big, if you're not interested in that, then there's not a lot of opportunity for you. And that goes back to your point, like there's not many things catering to arts around here. I mean, there are some things, but you have to look for them. They're not really encouraged. It's just kind of looked at like, oh, well, that's a fun pet project. That's good for you, you know? That's not a career, though, you know? And so if you aren't breaking into that and you aren't overachieving and you aren't interested in defense or military or engineering or, you know, or even like sports, if you're not into sports, then there's not a whole lot for you. And people just don't know what to do with you then.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the STEM and Navy, because that's what, like, I think Southern Maryland's kind of, like, what one of the things they're known for is, like, you know, major STEM and Navy and everything. Like, for example, I talked to Tabitha about what I'm doing for college, and I'm like, I'm still looking, but I'm looking at St. Mary's, and I told you, yeah, and they have a lot of options, but a lot of them are STEM, but some of them are starting to arts, but they just removed their major arts. And I was like, I was shocked by that, and I talked to you about that.
It is a liberal arts college.
Exactly. It's just like...
Yeah, but I don't think that has anything... I would say that I would believe that that has less to do with what Southern Maryland is, and it has more to do with the trend of educational institutions becoming businesses, like more than educational institutions. So get rid of the things that people aren't engaging with as much. So instead of keeping the theater department around, we'll say, not enough people are taking this, so let's cut it. Instead of, I don't know, whatever the other option would be. So I don't know if that has to do as much with Southern Maryland as just a situation that's going on, you know. But it is odd, as St. Mary's College is a liberal arts college, so.
The careers, though, itself around this area are very limited, like... And I think that's why there's such a focus on those fields, because those are the only careers available here. If you want a different career, you got to go somewhere else. Like I mean, not saying there aren't any, but there's a very limited number.
And you're lucky if you get into it.
Right, yeah, you're the 1% if you're doing that other thing, and it's very hard to do. And you're going to have a lot of people doubting you and going, I don't know what you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think then that brings it to the point where the young people need a voice.
Right.
And they need a platform to voice on, as well as with other people from Southern Maryland and other people from other areas. And I think that Southern Maryland Loves You is one of the few that is actually doing that. And the more forward that goes, the more forward thinking is let out into the community, and perhaps the community itself would then decide, oh, well, you know what, we may be able to invest in that and bring it forward and stabilize the job situation to where you don't have to go out to get that job.
Part of the reason why this conversation sort of seems to come up often is because it also seems to be something that's very on the minds and agendas of the commissioners and economic development and people in those places. And I've read reports from them that are studies of, we've gathered up all these people and we're asking them these questions, and there's somebody that's, you know, drawing these brainstorm sessions and all this stuff. So they've spent money and time on this issue of, like, what's up with our retention? How do we keep people around? How do we keep young people around? How do we keep young people from leaving? How do we get them to come here and then stay? And I think that if there was a way that, I mean, do you guys know of those meetings? Would you go to those meetings? I mean, if you felt like you could gather up your ideas and people and present things to these entities, however that was, would that be something
or maybe
that you'd want to do?
the entity could come to this meeting.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking, like, why, George? You're in high school. Mm-hmm. You know plenty of people, and you two as well, that, like, if you came back here whenever with 3 of your buddies or 2 of your buddies and you wanted to do this again, and we could snag one of those people, or even just be able to send some of these conversations to them. But I mean, like you said, I think that it's true that it takes time. And it takes a lot of effort. I mean, all the things, I grew up in Calvert County, and what we used to do, I used to have a blast, but I kind of accepted that there weren't necessarily those things to do here, the Dave and the Busters and all that. But I wasn't really into that anyway, and I didn't have any money, so I wasn't looking to spend any. So we would go to the beach, and we would hang out on the beach and have fires, and, you know, we did plenty of things that we probably shouldn't have done too, but we had a good time just kind of running around because that was all there was to do. But now fast forward into what I got into was music. And when I got to the point where I was in my 20s and I was looking around saying, this is what I want to do full time, I didn't see it anywhere down here. I could be wrong about that, but I had to go up the road all the time, always up the road, always Annapolis, D.C., Philly, Richmond, New York, everywhere.
And you get the feeling of, why am I living down here when I'm always traveling up there?
Yes and no. But my situation is different. But what I will say is that, where am I now? I'm here now, and there ain't nobody doing what we're doing, and it's hard as shit. It's extremely hard, and it takes a lot of time. We've been working on this. I've known Paul for 14 years this year, and we've been working on it the whole time. And I thought that, I'll go to Nashville, and I'll go to New York, and I'll go to L.A. And I didn't find any of what I thought was what my home was, not because of the physical vicinity or anything like that, because any place is a place to be if you can be who you are and do your thing. I don't care if it's basket weaving, And so here you build that up, but look what it's taking. It's not just me. It's not just Paul. It's more, like you said. It would take all that. But could we help with that? Could we assemble that? You know what I mean? Like, if you had I believe your voice matters, and I think some of these people, at least, they'll tell you that it does. So the thing to do would be to test them, right? Take a rack of your friends in there and say, we need this because we're going to leave if you don't. We need these kinds of things. But I think it's going to be really important to have some sort of idea of what those things are. I also think that when there's all these meetings that are there, and it's basically just older folks, and they're shaping the community, and they're shaping, therefore, the future of the community. We need to have more people involved in those processes. I see Matt over here.
Yeah, I'd like to say that people talk a lot about people that move here and then move away. They just totally forget how many people are born and grow up here that are like incredibly talented and smart and then move away. Like, that's the default.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up close enough. I've got cousins here. Everybody's moved away. My siblings are in Miami. My cousins are in D.C. and New York. And it's I think we need to focus a little bit more on the people that are here already, than those that are coming in. So this kind of idea of, fix these things or we're going to move away, I see it more as we're already all moving away.
I don't mean to speak in such an ultimatum way.
Yeah, keep us here. You don't have to lay any threat because it's already done. And nobody's kids stay here, and they all go off and get amazing jobs and be who they want to be. So I would ask, do you feel you can be yourself down here, or that you have to go somewhere else?
I will say this. Down here, I moved around here around middle school, and probably this did fit into what I want to do. I know I want to be a engineer, and I love the game of football. So sports and STEM is kind of what this place does. So it bred me competitive and to be all this now. But I do have to shout this place out for that. When I say Southern Maryland, I would say that it breeds you to, for something else. Like, it's kind of like coming up and then for something else.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I mean, I think that's made evident, like I already said, in the jobs, but also the education. We have community college here, but then you get through your 2-year degree, and then if you want to finish your degree, you got to go somewhere else. It's just one more thing. You got to go somewhere else,
Which is not totally true, because you have St. Mary's, but you have limited. But now we're also seeing more University of Maryland presence, but that's also probably going to be pretty geared towards
STEM related.
Right.
So it's the same thing.
I guess I want to pose the question, straight up. Not that there's really anything that I can do about it, but I would love to know, would you be interested to assemble and think and organize and present to these people if you had opportunities to do so? Like, would you show up at meetings once a month or whatever it was and bring in people that and show that you do have a voice and you do have ideas that are worth them listening to, and try to move the needle on some of these things by doing that? Do you think that's something to do?
I think so, because I have a younger brother that's, going to be here for 4 years. He's going to Riken. So, yeah, maybe some things for him, to do that I didn't get to do. So,
I would say there's still plenty of time. Yeah. Now, let me be very clear. I have never done anything like that. So I'm not like poking at you like you should. Like, I mean, I guess I kind of am poking at you like you should, but I'm not like judging you for not or whatever,
Yeah.
Voice from beyond.
Voice from behind. Is this camera on?
It is.
Okay. I want to touch on something George said because it's a unique way that he said it. Maybe I understood it because it related to sports. Basically what I heard is this area is almost like the minor leagues. It's almost so it's college football. They bring you into the really good school. They give you a great education. They teach you how to be really good at sports. They make you a good member of society, and then you go somewhere else. And so I see this with like a lot of big universities, right? Kids from all over the country come there for 4 years. They soak up as much knowledge as they can. They get good at sports. They make all their friends. They make all their connections, and then they leave. So it's making me think now about what George is saying, that maybe that's an attraction to, quote, young people who are in their mid-30s and 40s. Because they go, oh, if I can raise a kid like Tabitha, George, or Alex, the likelihood of them having a good education, a good sports program is much higher down here. I'm going to move there.
I would 100% agree with that. And that, I mean, I speak from experience. That is exactly what my parents did. My parents were not from Maryland. They moved to Southern Maryland to have kids, had me within a year of moving here, and have raised their kids here for those reasons.
So then the question that I pose, and then I will take my answer off the microphone.
From beyond.
Are we focusing on the wrong age group?
Well, I was thinking the same thing. Is like, everybody has this tendency to want to try to be everything to everybody all the time, and that's great. But like, what about what you are? And what if that's what it is down here? Is 30 and 40-year-old, 30 plus, and it's a great haven for 30 plus people. I don't think I'm doing myself any favors about the other things that I was talking about. But I mean, like, I do feel that way. If that's what it is, that's what it is. It doesn't mean it's a bad place to be. But
then the commissioners and everybody should stop wondering and worrying about why all the young people are leaving. I mean,
well, they should, but I imagine they're not going to, because I'm sure it has something to do with, this stuff. If they could have that, then they might be able to generate more of that.
But like, people in their 30s having kids are way more of a gold mine than people in their teens and 20s who have no money.
I guess
that's actually more true. Population, though. The population go up with the 30 and 40-year-olds. So by having those, you're gonna have young people, or even younger, young toddlers. So they're gonna grow up to be young people. So
I think it's important to have the young people anyway. I think it's important to have your perspectives to share with those people too, and I definitely want to do what I can to encourage that, and would make this a place where if you want to come back and with other people and do this, I'd be happy to, because I want to hear I want to hear those new ideas. I want to hear what it's supposed to be shaped like. We've got all these other people that are shaping it for us. If we don't have any say about it when we could. We have another voice from beyond.
You have another voice from beyond. You all make very good points, but I'll just kind of echo on what Tommy talked about and what George talked about. This place is like another metaphor, an incubator. We came here in 2002, and my kids were really young. And I found out the school systems here were the best in the state. I think Calvert was number 1, St. Mary's number 2. We came from Oklahoma City, where the best school districts there was not as good as the worst ones down here. So this is a great place to be. And once we got here, we were like, this is where we want to raise the kids, because it's an area we can leave our doors unlocked. I don't lock my cars at night. But for young kids, it is boring, because my kids are like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? There's nothing to do. They hung out in the parking lots of Walmart and Target with their cars, and I'm like, really? You guys sit in the parking lot and chit chat, and you go inside for fun and come back out? So, But one of the things too I noticed, my son who is now in England, he was like, wow, Dad, you guys really did us a good service by being here. I see the difference from the other places that we've gone and how the kids act. The kids from New York, the kids from DC, the kids from Atlanta, the kids from California. This is really an incubator where we give you guys a leg up, but the downside is the social things that you guys have to deal with. So like Matt said, his cousins are in Miami and everywhere else. But a lot of times when these people start having kids, they want to come back here because they realize that, wow, this is a place to raise kids. Like my son, he's happy right now in England because he's young and frolicking about doing what he does. But I could certainly see him coming back at some point wanting to have kids. My daughter, she's gone as well. And she said the same thing. And I got another son that's still here. He'll maybe hang out with us the rest of his life. I don't know. But then I got a high schooler as well who's at Riken. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Right on.
All right.
But isn't there that pressure to overachieve then, because you feel like, oh, I've been given this leg up and, our academics are so strong, so thus there's no identity out of having strong academics or strong in sports? I mean, that's an acceptable alternative around here as well. But if you're not good at sports and you're not good in school, you're not good in anything around here.
Yeah. You feel like, I know I personally, I don't know if you do because you're in business. I still am looking. I have no idea what I want to do, if it's STEM, if it's not. But since I don't know what I want to do, I feel pressured that I need to find it, because if I'm not fitting in that box, you don't really fit in here.
And there's no way to just, I'll experiment with something else, because there's nothing to just, I'll explore that here. There's no explorations.
Yep.
You have to go somewhere else. Again.
I don't know if we're giving you the answers you want.
No, there are no answers that I want. I mean, I have my own ways that I feel. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's, I don't even know if that matters. I can tell you, because I don't think that it's normal. I don't think it's an average, or maybe it is, I don't know, but I didn't experience it that way, where it was an average way of thinking about something. Because to me, like I said, I'll just leave it at, I think that if you want something that is beyond what is regular, you're going to have to work your butt off. And you're going to have to create it yourself. And you're going to have to not be concerned with whether somebody else thinks it, or if you should be doing it, or if it's the right way to go about it and all that. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to buckle down and make it happen. You have to find the resources. You have to find the information. You have to find the teachers. You have to find whatever that is. You have to motivate yourself to do it. And you would have to do that whether you were living in Manhattan, London, Singapore, or Lexington Park. You know what I mean? But that's if you fall outside of those bounds. If you have a situation where you're here and you're saying that all there is here is STEM and sports, which I don't agree with, but let's just go with it. That's if you do that, then you're great, you're here. But if you don't do that, you could fly all over the world looking for something and still not find it if you haven't gotten it together here.
I see that point. I tend to agree. When you said if you fall outside of those boxes and the abnormal, just because you fall outside of the boxes here doesn't mean that you won't find that box somewhere else, though. What's abnormal here is not necessarily abnormal somewhere else.
It's true. But I think that it would behoove us all to not be concerned with what is abnormal or not, and just to be what you think you want to be.
Yeah, that's true. Because like you said earlier, success, I think that's why, places like small places, you think the most successful people come from smaller places. I would say those places give you a hunger that most people don't have. To do something that there's more than one way to be successful.
Sure.
Let's say let's put this in sports. D1. Let's say that's here. I hear that a lot. You got to go D1. You got to go D1. Go do this. Play as much.
That's that overachiever
that's
mindset.
That's but
just saying.
Tabitha just does not want to be an overachiever.
Just saying.
But
I don't want to try that hard.
There's more, yeah. But there's more paths. You can do. You don't have to just be set in one thing. You can do do multiple things.
Sure.
I think that's why people would want to. What's the word? I would say people want to go somewhere else to find themselves, because some people find themselves here. Some people find themselves at a higher city. Some people find themselves
in the desert.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's why people move to the forest with nothing.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Well, look, I think that we're reaching the time, so I am excited. Oh, more from beyond.
Yeah, sorry, jumping in with one last one, because we had a question come in from the venerable Christina Johansson.
Oh, good. Yes, please.
Local events. So we've got some. I'm just going to throw them out there. We got the Young Professionals. I'm going to plug her monthly thing. We've got things like the Beer Festival and First Fridays and the Oyster Festival, and Dominic, give me 2 local events that also happen.
What's that jousting stuff that you do? Come on, that's cool.
We got jousting.
We got jousting.
It's not in Southern Maryland, though.
It's not?
It's not.
They used to
The
do
jousting
it at that church
association's
up on
in
Bruce
They
Island Road.
they have one joust at the Christ Church in Calvert County that happens once a year. Yes.
All right. Well, fine. Celtic Festival, Oyster Festivals. What about I'm not saying that these are things that I'm excited to go do or anything. And I shouldn't say that.
We got
I
the
love
farmers
all of them,
market.
but there's that thing where they back the boats up and you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, is that
Where
here?
it's
I
like-
thought that was on the Eastern Shore.
No, man, they do that in Solomon's. It's like a
Oh,
big
yeah, yeah,
deal. I mean, I'm sure they do it in other places. Either way, there's
So-
some stuff.
Yeah, so those are some local events. And the question is, do you go to them? And if not, why aren't they really interesting? And what would make them potentially attractive, or events that would be more
I'm going to
attractive?
point out the 2 most obvious things to me about most of those events that were just listed. The first one is most of them revolve around drinking. So if you aren't old enough to drink, you can't participate.
Or you don't drink at all.
Yeah.
Right. Or you don't drink if you're just not into that. Right. Yeah. And then the second one is that it is a shopper's mindset, where it's like you're going to a market or you're going around a town and everybody's trying to sell you something, and they're not interested in people that aren't interested in buying things.
I'm totally with you, which brings us full circle back to the original conversation, which was we need more parties, like big parties, where it's from little kids to 80-year-olds just hanging out and having parties and grilling stuff and talking and playing music and playing hopscotch or whatever. I think that is a good way to have people interacting and have a community. We also talked about having a facility that would sleep like 400 people so they could all party and just... But anyway, look, we got to get out of here. But let's do... Dude, if you want to, I can't force anybody to do it, but come back, bring people, say what you want. I'll send the videos to the people or whatever, or even when it gets to a point where it makes sense to go to the meeting and say what you got to say, maybe we can work our way into it. I'd love to see it happen. Or you don't have to do any of it. You could just come back and talk on the show and hang out. That's always fun too. But I appreciate you all being here, and you can let me know what you think about that off camera.
We'll keep the suspense.
Yeah. I always appreciate you having me on the show. I enjoy it every time.
I love it. I'm glad you guys.
You dragged me on the show. No, I'm just kidding.
I
Thank
did.
you for bringing me on.
Pretty good show.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Every Tuesday we're here filming, and hopefully they'll come back and share with us their ideas for the future of the Southern Maryland community and all the new and exciting things that will be happening here. So, and that includes the Sonic Spirits events that are going to be going on when we're allowed to have events again. And I hope to see you all there. So, and I hope to see all of you there too. Have a good day. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Take Thank you all so much for being with us. We appreciate you sharing your time and consideration. Please feel free to reach out to Sonic Spirits and Progress Culture at sonic-spirits.com and progressculture.org. You can also connect with us through our sponsors at techportsomd.org and somdlovesyou.org. We'd love to hear from you if you're working on something awesome, or you have ideas for future shows, or you'd just like to say hello. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Much love, and see you soon.